Zuma's legal counsel says Judge Koen erred in dismissing his special plea under Section 106(1)(h) of the Criminal Procedure Act in adopting a narrow approach of the phrase title to prosecute. This meant it ruled that Advocate Downer had the qualification to prosecute. Zuma earlier argued that Advocate Downer had no title to prosecute because of his alleged bias and that this infringed his constitutional rights to a fair trial in a wider interpretation of this section of the Act. Zuma's counsel argued on Monday that there was no justice for their client.
We are told that, I cannot even count the newspaper articles or so-called expert commentators who say that every time Mr. Zuma is treated differently to other people, it is to show that we are all equal before the law. Well, that's a joke, because it can be that we show that we are equal before the law by treating a particular individual differently from all the other people. That's just wrong.
To illustrate this point, he referred to Zuma's direct imprisonment by the Constitutional Court for his failure to appear before the Zondo Commission of Inquiry.
Section 173 must be used to assert the impartiality of the court, not to practice it, not to assert the exact opposite and the unequal treatment of people.
Zuma's legal counsel submitted that Advocate Downer and other National Prosecuting Authority officials should be held accountable for alleged interference in his prosecution over the years.
Mr. Zuma should not have to suffer the indignity of a cooked-up prosecution. And I say cooked up because this is what the NPA itself says. There was manipulation of the prosecution for political reasons. But it is in the detail of that the court simply ignored. And the court decided that they would subject this to trial, the NPA at the very least would have to account for what is contained in their own affidavit that is pertinent to whether or not fair trial rights have been affected in this particular case.
The state argued that Zuma's special plea could not be appealed and maintained that Zuma could bring an appeal on the infringement of his rights to a fair trial at the conclusion of the criminal trial. The state argued that Zuma had very little prospects of success in being granted leave to appeal.
Courts should, within the confines of fairness, actively discourage preliminary litigation. Courts should further be aware that persons facing serious charges, and especially minimum sentences, have little inclination to cooperate in a process that may lead to their conviction.
The state said even if it was found that there were irregularities in the prosecution of Zuma, he still had a case to answer. Meanwhile, the NPA says it's still considering the criminal case against Advocate Downer. Zuma opened a criminal case against Downer, accusing him of leaking confidential medical records to the media.